Hello.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, your
Okay.
mic works, I think. Awesome. So, Armonia. I'm very excited to learn about you and what you're doing. And I think what we've done with the other firesides that makes a lot of sense is if you first just tell me who you are from your perspective and what you do.
Hi, so my name is Armonia. I'm the International Development Director of Simplon. Before joining Simplon, and I'm going to tell you more, I've been working on microfinance and on social real estate. I'm Italian, living in France for the last 5 years, and my first time in Tallinn, so nice to meet you and your city.
Yeah. You said social real estate. What is social real estate? I have to ask this.
Yeah, so before joining Simplon, I've been working 2 years in a company whose mission was to fight against the speculation in the real estate sector.
Okay.
So it was about buying and renewing all the buildings, mainly industrial buildings. And to keep them for 40, 50 years, and to rent these spaces to social businesses and NGOs at a quite low price. And me in particular, I was working on a project called Le Chateau, the Castle, which is a social food hub nearby Paris.
Okay. And what are you doing now at Simplon?
Yes. So in a few words, Simplon started operations 5 years and a half ago in the outskirts of Paris. We train talents into digital skills. So within 6 months, we train people from very different backgrounds to become junior full-stack web developers, to become data developers, IoT, cybersecurity, digital advisors. We have quite a few different programs. And we are a social business because we target people who are far from the job market, the people with no diploma. We target refugees. We target NEETs, which is the EU word to define people not in education, employment, or training. And it's social also because it's for free. So there is no barrier to access in financial terms.
And you're present in many countries, actually, and your job in particular is this
Yes.
international work, right?
Yes, since the beginning, Simplon vision has been to be the biggest digital inclusive network of bootcamps in the world. Today we are in 15 countries. We are mainly in the European Union, MENA, and West Africa regions, and we are starting operation in South Asia as well, and very soon East Africa. And maybe Tallinn someday soon. But yes, and nice story is that our first international digital factory, we call our training center, opened in Romania in 2014. And it was opened by one of the trainees of our first batch. So Roxana, she has been trained 6 months in Paris, and then she said, I want to do the same in my country, back to Cluj. And since then, there is a Simplon Romania. So, that's a very nice story of a trainee expanding the model abroad.
Yeah. So what are you doing in particular at Simplon? You're mostly in charge of this international development, right?
Yes. So I joined Simplon 1 year and a half ago after my social real estate experience. And since then, I've been developing and structuring the international network. When I arrived, we had running an operation in just 2 countries. Lebanon, 3 countries, Lebanon, Romania, and Belgium. So my work has been to structure this international network and to taking into account the differences from country to country. For instance, I mean, just to give an example, in France, we work a lot with school dropouts or people who have just the level A diploma, while, for instance, in Tunisia or in Dakar, we are going to target people who already have 3 years of university, but whose training was too much theoretical. So basically, they are not employable. I mean, there is a lot of difference in demographics. In France, the average age is 28 years old, because people who are interested in our model are mainly people in changing a job. So it's a life and a career shift. While in Dakar, where 50% of the population is under 20 years old, at country level, our trainees are much younger. They're going to be rather 20, 21, 22.
Yeah, I read that the average age of your participants is actually like 21 or something like this, and that 50% are younger than 26.
Not today. In France is 28 years old, the average age. We have also 5% of seniors, as defined by our National Employment Agency, which is 45 years old. That's, I mean, for a job market perspective, 45 is a senior. But yes, it's the demographic really changed on country by country. We also have a very big focus on women participation in the IT sector, which is a quite cross-country issue. But we're going to talk more about this in the next panel.
The following panel, yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you why you personally decided to do this, because you've done a couple of different things. I ventured into your past a little bit, and you've done a few things. So I was curious why Simplon and kind of this mission connected with you, or why you've decided that this is the thing that's important in your life right now.
So I've always been in the social business sector or NGO sector. First thing. Second, when I joined Simplon, Simplon is in France is one of the most growing social businesses. So just to make the difference between NGOs and the social business, we have a private enterprise status, but we are recognized by the state for our social mission. So there is a particular label given by the state to private companies with a social mission. So it's a very particular status. And today, Simplon is 150 employees, and we are growing very fast and doubling in terms of employees, of impact, and of turnover every year. So so I was very excited to join a social business, one of the most successful in France. Because before I've always been working companies with maximum 50 employees. So this was a second factor. And the third, because I think that anybody should miss the digital transformation going on. And this is a big opportunity for people from disadvantaged background or with some like accident in their career path, to take opportunity on what's going on these days with the new skills needed, which can be acquired without an academic strong background in a quite short time.
I'm curious, you mentioned like several different issues that different geographies face, and it actually surprised me that the third-year university students have such a broad education that they're unemployable. I'm curious how do you adapt so quickly if you want to go to a new region? How do you kind of learn what the issues are and apply the Simplon solution? That must be super difficult.
Well, we adapt in terms of, so understanding the needs. We never arrive alone in a country. We always rely on local partners. Usually we have like a three-party agreement where we are the pedagogical partner.
Yeah.
And in terms of digital skills, it doesn't change so much across the world. I mean, data developer is going to be the same in India or in Dakar. So that's something which also is quite fascinating and quite convenient. That the skills, I mean, there are some adaptation here and there, but I mean, it's not so different. And then we always work with local stakeholders. So when we arrive in a new country, we are going to talk with the big companies there, with the SMEs, with local NGOs, so which are in close contact with our targets. We talk with the National Employment Agency, with the professional training, education, and employment ministries. So we spend some time looking at these factors. And then we go, and then we only start from a small pilot. And then if our hypothesis is confirmed, then we grow up. So that's how we go. We listen what's going on, and we really we do capacity building of local players. So we are not I mean, we don't arrive like that. We are going to rely on local partners. So that's how we passed from 2 to 15 countries.
So what are the biggest struggles then in doing this kind of?
Well, the main struggle, I'd say, it's money, because the trainings are for free. And then in France, there is the professional training. It's financed by the state.
So it has to be that money has to be spent in France, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay.
So in France, where today we have still most of our activities, at least half of the training is paid by the government. And for the other half, we have sponsor companies who finance. And among sponsor companies, we have Capgemini, Société Générale, BNP Paribas, Microsoft. We just signed a partnership with Apple. So we work with them. And that's not just about money, it's also about having them deeply involved and engaged in recruiting the trainees afterwards. Okay. So that's very important. But abroad, internationally, we never go to look for public money, because it's much more unstable and longer to obtain. So we, for the time being, we rely 100% on private sponsoring. But we are thinking how to go for something more viable and sustainable, because in the long run, when you depend from the sponsoring of a company, I mean, it's not reliable. So I'd say the economic model is one of the struggles. So far, we've been very successful. But if we want to go from 3,000 to 50,000 trainees in the next 5 years, we have to find an economic model which is independent from external sourcing.
I'm curious if anybody here has a question, just because I know that you are also on the next panel, and I would love to give you the opportunity to take a break in between if you like. Yeah, would that be good, or would you rather? Is there something else you wanted to bring out and talk about specifically?
No, because I mean there are a few points, but we are going to discuss later. So just to, I mean, I don't know who is in the room, but we are keen to discover what's going on here in Estonia in terms of digital skills training. And we are very open to import the Simplon model here with a local partner. So if you are one of these local partners, don't hesitate to come to talk after the panel.
When are you hoping to open your Estonia branch?
When I find the partner. Okay. And I mean, we are probably, we are usually, once we find a partner who is ready to go, it takes around around 6 months to open. Okay. So for the summer.
I'm curious, what's appealing about Estonia in the mission of Simplon?
So, I mean, it's quite new for me, to be honest. I mean, Estonia has been, it's very well known all across Europe for the e-government. So I'm also curious to learn more about this and how you managed to be so successful. So I'm really, I'm ready to listen, to hear to the needs. And if there are needs, maybe not. So
of course, there's always room for more help.
Sometimes, I mean, I don't know what are the public. I'm meeting the ministry, someone from the ministry on Monday. So I mean, now we have and some local organization, ST, Tech Sisters. So we are really starting a first round of table to see what if there are opportunities.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. And we'll see you in the next panel. Thank you for the chat, and super nice to get more introduced to what you do.
Thank you.